So today, we're diving into a really critical warning from someone who's been at the absolute center of the AI revolution for over a decade. I'm talking about Mustafa Suleyman, the billionaire co-founder of DeepMind and now the CEO of Microsoft AI. He says we're facing a challenge unlike anything we've ever seen before, and he calls it the AI containment problem. Okay, let's get into it.
When Suleyman was asked how his younger self would feel about where AI is today, his answer was pretty blunt. He would have been petrified. And that feeling, that mix of total awe and genuine fear, that's really the key to understanding why his message is so urgent. To really get it, we have to first wrap our heads around the unbelievable speed of what's going on.
All right, first up, AI's exponential growth. Now, I know we hear that phrase thrown around a lot, but the reality of it, the sheer scale, is almost impossible to really process.
Just look at this leap. It's kind of wild. Suleyman talks about being blown away back in 2013 when an AI could just generate a fuzzy black and white number 7. That was a massive breakthrough at the time. Fast forward just one decade, and that same basic idea now lets us create stunning photorealistic videos from a single sentence. That's not just a step up, it's a whole new reality.
And here is the engine that's driving all of this. The raw computing power we're throwing at these things has been multiplying by 10 times every single year. To put that into perspective, a top AI back in 2013 used about 2 of these power units. Today's big models, they use 10 billion. That number is so huge it's hard to even picture, and it's the source of both AI's incredible promise and, well, its incredible danger.
So with this kind of insane growth happening so fast, you'd think we'd all be talking nonstop about the risks, right? Well, there's a psychological catch. Solomon calls it the pessimism aversion trap, and it might just be the reason we're not having the conversations we absolutely need to be having.
It's like this. When we're faced with something so powerful and, let's be honest, kind of scary, our gut reaction is to just look away. We tell ourselves optimistic stories like, oh, technology always works out, or it'll create new jobs, don't worry. But according to Suleyman, this fear of just sounding like a downer is what's actively stopping us from getting real about the risks.
Which brings us right to the main event here. What is this massive problem that we're all so afraid to even look at?
It's what Solomon calls the containment problem, and at its heart is a really simple but incredibly tricky dilemma.
See, unlike, say, a nuclear bomb, which really only does one terrible thing, AI is what he calls omni-use. Its power is that it can do almost anything, and that's exactly what makes it so difficult to control.
I mean, think about it like this for a second. The exact same AI model that could literally save your life by spotting a tiny cancerous tumor on an X-ray can also be used to take a life by identifying a target for a drone. So how on earth do you regulate, let alone ban, a technology that has that much potential for good? You can't, really.
And because it's omni-use, it kicks off this incredibly dangerous global race. Every country, every major company feels like they have to sprint ahead because they're terrified that if they don't, their rivals will. And so we get stuck in this loop where everyone is building faster and faster, and any serious talk about safety and containment just gets left in the dust.
Okay, but this is where the whole argument makes a really important turn. Because despite all of these massive challenges, Suleyman argues that containment isn't just a nice idea. It's an absolute necessity. It has to be possible.
And if you look at history, we actually have reason to be hopeful. As a species, we have pulled back from the brink before. We've come together and agreed to ban some really dangerous stuff, like the CFCs that were destroying the ozone layer or chemical and biological weapons. We even banned something as specific as blinding lasers. And hey, the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, while it's not perfect, has actually worked pretty well. We've done this before, we can do it again.
And that brings us to what might be the single most important line in this whole conversation. When he's asked if containment is truly possible, Suleyman's answer is both simple and absolutely chilling. He says, it has to be possible, because otherwise it contains us. Just let that sink in. The alternative is that we, humanity, become prisoners of our own creation.
So what does that actually mean we have to do? Well, it means we have to start using a muscle that, frankly, we've almost never used as a civilization. Our default setting is always to build, to innovate, to compete. Now, maybe for the first time with a technology this powerful, we have to learn how to collectively say no to some things purely for the sake of our own safety.
And this choice, it puts us at a massive fork in the road, and it leads to 2 completely, radically different futures. The stakes here could not be any higher.
On one path, if we succeed with containment, the prize is almost unimaginable, a world of what he calls radical abundance. Think about a world with near-zero-cost energy, food, and medicine, a world where people are finally free from just monotonous work. But if we fail, the other path is the mass proliferation of harm, a world where a very small group of people, or even a single person, can get their hands on tools powerful enough to create a synthetic pandemic or unleash total chaos on a global scale.
So in the end, containment isn't some technical guarantee, it's a human choice. It's going to take cooperation, it's going to take humility, and it's going to take the courage to choose safety over speed. And when you look at those two futures ahead of us, the question we all have to answer is pretty simple. Which one are we going to choose?